Hello World Wide Web, I'm Dr. Shado, the internet personality with the best hair, and it's time for the Alien³ review. But due to the recent passing of H.R. Giger, I should probably start this off by mentioning exactly how this movie's production went for him. Simply put, not well. He was contacted to pen some new designs, which is actually notable as, so far as I know, they didn't bother to for Aliens. Still, they had some very specific requests from him, but after he sent them his work, nobody from Fox bothered to contact him again. By the end of it all, only one of his new designs even made to the final cut, the Baby Burster. This strained his relationship with Fox quite a bit, but then again, it's not like he was the only one having problems with this production. Practically everyone who worked on Alien³ was in for a nightmare, as the release date was decided on before the script was even started. Concepts and plans were made and changed on a whim, and over $7 million worth of movie sets were made that were never used because they were written out of the film. To top it all off, they ended with David Fincher as the director, despite the fact that he had never directed a feature film before. And it's not like he had the kind of control that he wanted on the project, and as soon as filming was done, he left and had no say in the editorial process. In fact, the extended version of this movie is not called the director's cut. No director's cut exists. Instead, we get the assembly cut. Speaking of which, I have the assembly cut here today. This is notable as not only is it a half-hour longer than the theatrical version, but several plot points change rather drastically between the two cuts. Also, the alien emerges from an ox, not a dog, though it's still called the dog alien in most video games. In fact, I had the alternate cuts of the Alien movies all along. I just ripped them without checking, and needed my audience to point that out to me. Anyway, let's take a look at Alien³ and see if a longer version of a depressing clusterfuck is somehow better. It starts just where we left off in Aliens, as we watch Newt get murdered in her sleep. Nothing like starting off on a high note, eh? To be fair, this decision is so disliked, even the writer of the novelization of Alien³ tried to change it in their first draft of the novel. After Fox wouldn't let them, they quit making movie novelizations altogether. To make matters worse, this results in a fire, and we learn that it's common practice to just launch frozen passengers wherever the fuck in case of emergency, which brings us to our setting for this film, Fioriona 161. A combination refinery and prison planet, so pretty much like any Minecraft server out there. The differences in the assembly cut come very early, however, as we see Clemens, played by Charles Dance, discover Ripley washed up on the shore, covered in grime and lice. Which does make a lot more sense than them finding her sparkling clean in the pod, yet she's covered head to toe in dirt by the time they put her in the infirmary. I mean, what, in the theatrical version, they stopped for a bit to roll her around in mud first? We are introduced to the character traits for most everybody else on the planet in short order when Superintendent Andrews, played by Brian Glover, addresses the population of prisoners about the recent events.
The survivor is a woman.
Wouldn't you know it, I sacrificed my future, ruined my life to put myself on this godforsaken rock, all to get the hell away from women, and this happens. Actually, this population of hardened criminals are the peaceful, weirdly religious type, and as Dylan, played by Charles Dutton, explains, a woman might upset that harmony. Because they might rape her, and damn, how dare she be so rapeable? The fuck is this, preemptive victim blaming? To keep the peace, Andrews assures everyone she will be kept in the infirmary until a rescue team arrives. However, upon her waking and learning of the others' deaths, Clemens makes no attempt to keep her from roaming around, finding the acid mark on the cryotube, and gives her free rein to stare at Newt's corpse for a while. Yeah, she's still dead. It's wonderful.
We have to do an autopsy.
What?
I told you. We have to make sure how she died.
You do realize that Newt was the favorite character of a lot of fans of Aliens out there. Killing her first thing, then dragging her corpse out in front of the camera for everyone to see, and now cutting her up! This is almost as bad as what you did to the space jockeys in Prometheus. At least the assembly cut does not contain the legendary early screening edition of the autopsy scene, which was said to be so gory and disturbing, the movie risked an NC-17 rating from it. Don't worry about the studio balking at the concept, though. There's plenty of child killing and infanticide waiting for you in AVP Requiem. It doesn't take long before Andrews finds out about Ripley not being confined anywhere. After all, this is a prison planet, so that is pretty odd.
as I am told she did in the last hour, it might also be helpful if you kept me informed as to any change in her physical status. Or would that be asking too much?
We have to cremate the bodies.
Killing her, focusing on her death, and even chopping her corpse up, that's not good enough. Now, let's just burn her to fucking crisp. Why not? Hold up now, this is the assembly cut, so there's no dog for the alien to emerge from later. Instead, we have this big fucking ox here, and a really stupid prisoner.
Hey, Brett! What's this?
That's just a queen facehugger prop that was cut out of the theatrical version entirely. And apparently neither of you feel like bringing up to anyone else for the rest of your lives. Which means that the cremation scene is mostly the same. Spare, instead of watching a dog die to cheer you up even more, we see this movie's alien birthed from an ox, which introduces us to the one and only design H.R. Giger made for this movie that they actually bothered to use, the Bambi Burster. And that name makes a hell of a lot more sense coming out an ox rather than a dog. Oh, and for the record, that shot was CGI. And this is important later. Not quite yet, though, as we must see Ripley's new look as Bald Ripley, and have her mingle with the locals, despite that being in clear violation of the superintendent's wishes.
As I thought, Mr. Aaron. As I thought.
You called it, sir.
Yet he doesn't seem too interested in enforcing those orders anyway. Oh well, let's hope for a good first impression.
I'm a murderer and rapist of women.
The line still gets me. Mainly because of the order he set it in. Though, maybe it's just me. It's not like that made Ripley any more cautious.
Attracted.
In what way?
In that way.
Right, so you had that relationship with Dallas, but, well, that was delegated to nothing more than subtext, so that really doesn't matter. But you spent the entire last movie building this relationship with Hicks, where he was kind of the father figure of this family unit he, and Newt made. And he died, like, yesterday, and so you go and fuck literally the first man you have seen. Wow! Of course, sex in a horror movie equals death. But not necessarily for the participants, so... We also clearly see the alien spit acid here, which I thought didn't happen until Resurrection. Was it only in the assembly cut, or did I fuck up my xenomorph biology video? Clemens figures out in short order that it's odd that a man got sucked into a fan that was blowing, but Andrews interrupts this thought because he has something important to tell him.
Listen to me, you piece of shit. You screw with me one more time, I'll cut you in half.
I'm sorry, I don't think I understand.
We're just establishing that he's the surly, angry one that hates pretty much everything, so it'll be more fun when he dies. Actually, he's wondering what Clemens knows about the woman, as the message sent earlier calling in for a rescue has resulted in a very high-priority communications with the company, wanting to keep her safe and sound for extraction. Clemens doesn't know much aside from her very strong libido, so nothing comes from this. Besides, we should be paying attention to her attempt to find a computer that can play back the pod's flight recorder. As in the future, the black box is still a very important feature of any craft. Integrated MP3 players, not so much. Fortunately, synthetics happen to have that as an extra feature, so she digs Bishop out of the junk pile. Still, we've gone about 10 minutes without cutting up or burning a favorite character, so let's liven it up with the inmates forcing themselves onto Ripley. I know it's cliche to complain this movie raped my childhood, but come on! Fortunately, Dylan is there to save the meek, helpless woman. Oh great, she's got the character growth of Samus Aran from Metroid Other M. Yeah, it doesn't really work to do that and try and pretend you're keeping your character strong regardless. Still, we've already killed off 3 people in this movie, and we haven't even seen the full-grown alien yet, so let's fix that problem right quick. As much shit as I talk about this movie in general, you still gotta admit the alien suit is fucking awesome. As a side note, when running for your life, if you happen to run in a circle, don't just stand there and wait for the monster to get you too. you're making a horror movie and have the first real substantial death, at least give us a minute or two to enjoy it. The important thing now, though, is that Ripley takes the hopelessly wrecked beyond repair droid and repairs him with no real effort in order to access the flight recorder data and learn, yes, indeed, there was an alien on board. But the bigger question of how in the fuck it got there in the first place, leave that for the audience to discuss amongst themselves.
Do me a favor. Disconnect me. I could be reworked, but I'll never be top of the line again. I'd rather be nothing.
Wonderful. Just in case this movie isn't depressing enough, let's introduce some suicidal robots into the mix. Let's top it off with some irony, because mere seconds after sending him to the big hard drive in the sky, they drag Golic into the infirmary, played by Paul McGann, who is going on and on about how he didn't kill the two men he was with because the dragon did.
He's telling the truth. I'd like to talk to him about this dragon.
It's a dragon.
Yeah, I mean, you've only spent the entire movie completely secretive about that whole xenomorph thing. I mean, if you're going to come out about it, why not just go full bore and align yourself with the man who was clearly insane before the killing started happening? She does go ahead and tell Andrews. This goes about as well as expected.
Quite a story, Mr. Aaron.
Right, sir. It's a beauty. Ever heard anything quite like it, sir?
Expect not.
Damn, if only she could prove it to them. If only she had some kind of recording of the events. Or perhaps to corroborate her story, a droid. It's an artificial intelligence and therefore they can't be insane. Oh, why are these things always so out of reach?
Well, what kind of weapons have you got?
This is a prison. It's not a good idea to allow prisoners access to firearms.
Yes, it is. Didn't you hear? The best way to keep everyone as safe as possible is with a shit ton of guns.
And we're fucked.
No. You gotta use gun logic. The only way to stop the bad guy with acid blood is with a good guy with acid blood. Oh. I guess you've been fucked. Nevertheless, Andrews orders her to be held in the infirmary, which gives us the opportunity to listen to Clement's sad life story, where he was a doctor, and a druggie, and kinda sorta fucked up just a teeny tiny bit and ended up killing 11 people with painkillers.
I got 7 years in prison and my license reduced to a 3C. At least I got off the morphine.
Great. Now that he's poured his heart out to her, could she bother telling him about the giant killer alien running around the installation? Never mind. He'll find out soon enough. Sure enough, Clemens quickly learns about the alien, and it's a truly life-changing experience. That change being Termination. But whatever. Also, I must bring up this shot as it is the earliest representation of the special effects used in this movie. Now, anyone I talk to about Alien 3 always discusses with me the completely shit CGI they used for the alien. Except there's a problem with that assertment. That's not CGI. That's a puppet. They ran at 1/3 speed and sped up and superimposed in the scene. I mean, it still looks like shit, but it's not CGI. Fortunately, the suit and animatronics for the creature look a fuck-ton more impressive. Also, it decides not to kill Ripley and takes Clemens to go.
Magnificent.
Oh, and Golic is an ass-ton more important to the plot in the assembly cut, as we will see. Even more so than Andrews, who has more than overstayed his welcome in this movie, so...
Fuck!
What, I just like watching that scene. Sue me. Fortunately, as everybody witnessed this event, they're now more willing to work together as a unit, and don't mind that weird evil woman thing taking charge of the group all of a sudden. So she orchestrates a plan to set all events on fire and force the creature into a room from which it cannot possibly escape. Of course, we all know how this goes. Everybody gets ready. The alien shows up. Everything blows up. And the operation is a resounding failure. Oh! That is actually very, different from the theatrical version. They caught it! Huh. Also, Garlic is still in the movie now, as the fact that it's more than a little obvious at this point that he did not kill the two others, and the fact that they have the beast captured lets him convince his guard to release him from his bonds, as he's completely harmless.
Go see it again.
What the fuck you talking about?
Evidently, Garlic was very impressed with the creature, so much so that he views it as a god. And every god needs devotees, am I right? As such, he easily kills a single unarmed guard they set up, and has no problem whatsoever opening the door. Of course, Sigourney Weaver herself didn't like the fact that they actually captured the monster. I mean, she felt that it made the whole thing a lot less scary. Then again, everyone who worked on this movie has something that they hated about it. Now, though, we've got to see the inmates breaking down even further under the weight of this new news. And if this isn't bad enough, we've got a surprise waiting inside Ripley herself. It's more than a little common in the third film of a series when they say that the main character might die. I suppose with Alien³ they wanted the audience to know they weren't fucking around. After this revelation, Ripley is feeling a bit on the suicidal side. Can't blame her considering how depressing this movie has been, but Dylan opts not to help her with this problem just yet, as they still have to kill the big killer alien thing, so on to plan B.
This is a lead works, isn't it? All we gotta do is lure the fucking beast into the mold. Drown it in hot lead.
All right. So how do we do that?
Yeah. What are we gonna use for bait?
The giant block of cheese that we've been saving for the last 20 years.
Oh, fuck!
Actually, it's not quite that bad. They're going to use themselves to lure the critter. So on to the big elaborate plan. It doesn't take long at all before they walk in on the alien humping a corpse, and we learn something new about the creature.
This thing is really pissed off!
He's drunk! And if that's not what they meant, then they probably should not have used actors with British accents. I have to point out a tad bit of confusion here. I mean, they are luring the alien with meat, correct? They've made like it's been eating everyone all this time, but just how fucking hungry could it be? It picks them off one by one, and yet still is continuing to go back for more, just to put itself deeper and deeper into their trap. And yet even with a monster who is very cooperative with their plans, they still manage to fuck up the execution. And even better, the company has shown up looking to collect both the adult specimen and the little bundle of death Ripley is carrying. They received the signal with the scan of Ripley with the alien inside her, evidently are capable of interstellar travel in mere hours. Of course, that doesn't explain why they didn't show up earlier when the movie established that they also received the flight recorder data much earlier, and said data did indicate that there was an alien presence. Never mind that, back with the climax.
Jesus Christ. You fucker. Scared me shitless!
I thought you were the fucking pig, you fuck.
You know what? I think I noticed the big problem I have with this movie. I really don't give a flying fuck about 98% of the characters. I mean, the most meaningful deaths so far were Andrews, Clemens, and Garlic. Garlic only because of the assembly cut. Everyone else has had a less significant death than the ox. Ripley tries to take matters into her own hands, but the alien won't move to attack her. However, when Dylan tries to pull her away, they wind up with just the opportunity they need to lure it into the mold. Of course, the fact that it can climb out faster than they can causes Dylan to decide to sacrifice himself, keeping the creature in the mold long enough for them to pour the molten lead. Hey, wait a minute. Alien movies always have the false victory and then the fourth act. How the hell do you do that after this? Oh. I guess you just do. Doesn't last very long, though, as they immediately remember hot metal plus cold water equals explosions. Huh. Thermodynamics is a hell of a lot more awesome than I remembered it. Their troubles aren't quite over yet, though, as Lance Henriksen shows up to collect his check, as well as the alien Ripley is carrying.
What guarantee do I have? Once you've taken it out, that you'll destroy it.
You have to trust me.
Once we've bred it hundreds or thousands of times, and it's a decrepit, sterile creature wasting company dollars on life support, trust me, we'll eliminate it immediately. Obviously, she doesn't buy a story, so what options do you have at the end of a ridiculously depressing movie where all your friends are dead and everyone was an asshole and now they're dead too? Well, I suppose you could always die. Okay. I know the original Fall looked shitty, but that wasn't much better. And where the hell was the bit with the alien queen chestburster? It was completely omitted. So, the end. Everyone is dead. Their friends are dead, their family's dead. Oh, but Morse is still alive. Whoopity-doo! On the plus side... Yeah, you know this one is certainly not a favorite of mine. It's not a favorite of many people, considering that even during production, the writers, actors, director, everyone blamed someone else over just how shitty everything was going. However, it's not a lost cause, believe it or not. Simply put, the assembly cut helps a lot. Yes, the cast of characters is still a group of the holiest assholes in all the universe, but spending just that much longer to get to know them and see their quirks makes the movie a little bit more bearable. I especially like the extended focus on Golik. Paul McGann did a brilliant job with this character, and the fact that he was practically cut completely out of the theatrical version is downright criminal. Still, even the extended version can't hide the fact that this movie went through development hell. The facehugger just dumped on set, never brought up again, Bishop merely as a device to read the flight recorder, and just a custodial staff of a maximum security prison who are but aren't in, whatever the hell sense any of that's supposed to make. The point is, I really don't care for this movie. I find it depressing and a bit of a mess. However, the assembly cut does a very good job of giving some much-needed direction to the story and depth to the world. Nevertheless, Alien 3 to me comes in at 3 fucking deaths out of 5. Yeah, 3. What? I really didn't like the theatrical version. Thank you all for watching. I've been Dr. Shado, and remember, if you ever find the guy who decided that they absolutely, positively have to kill Newt, could you tell him I think
Listen to me, you piece of shit. You screw with me one more time, I'll cut you in half.
I'm sorry, I don't think I understand.